Morning. Trying to hit buttons and try to do things fancy and sequence and stuff. I just need to go back to the basics. Hi. Wall Pass Wednesday. John here, you there. Thanks for dropping by for the next little bit. Coming up in Wall Pass Wednesday, it's whatever's on your mind when it comes to the world of the sport. And we got plenty to talk about. Tyler is going to come by in about 10 minutes. We'll see how his sight lines are and check and see on his shades and everything. Did my camera tilt and not tell me? I think it did. There we go. All right. So Tyler's going to come by in about 10 minutes, and we'll discuss Atlanta United. We'll discuss what's going on in Major League Soccer. A couple of blockbusters, according to conversations that started yesterday with us, with Laurel Phaler and Queen City Press, that immediately impact FC Cincinnati. We'll get into all that. We'll get into, hey, who's Atlanta United playing today? So we'll get into all of that stuff with Tyler, go through Atlanta United, go through Major League Soccer, get you ready for everything going on there. Hour number 2, plenty of things to get into. We've got Champions League to get into. We've got CONCACAF to get into. We've got all of the leagues that we cover came out with their divisions and alignments. So we'll go through all of those in League 2, et cetera. We know what the Southeast is going to be looking like as we cover it in the spring and summer. So we'll get into that. And let's see, the USWNT, we had the team announced yesterday, of course, the second we went off the air. So there is all of that. And an interesting piece, your requested required reading might be from Kevin Baxter of the LA Times, because he caught up with Maya Yoshida. Maya Yoshida wanted to stay in Los Angeles with LAG, had to sign a new deal, but because of all of the machinations going on and the salary cap, Yoshida had to sign a deal for less money. And when he was asked about it, Maya was less than happy, shall we say. I think that this was probably one of the more frank responses. I mean, it was one of them. I think it was just the one in the article, but you get my point. Maya wasn't happy. So we'll get into that, but that might be your required reading of the day. The interview that Kevin Baxter had with Maya Yoshida discussing him returning to LAG and still what LAG had to do to even consider signing him. There was a lot of folks that left in the offseason. They got a lot of injuries they got to try and figure out, specifically with Ricky Puig and how you're going to try and handle that. So a lot of questions with LAG out of the blocks, and they were right up against the salary cap. So Yoshida not happy, and we might get into that. Also, we've got to get into Creek Cup, because that starts today on the SDH network at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. And we'll go over what happened last night in our season premieres on the boys and the girls side, Georgia High School soccer. It was North Atlanta at Decatur, and we'll get you into the schedule for Creek Cup today and beyond. It is today. It is tomorrow. It is Friday. It is Saturday. SDH and SDH2 will both be up and running, especially on Friday and Saturday, where Saturday you have all of the matches going on to determine bracket winners, third and fourth, and all that kind of stuff. Starting at like 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, SDH and SDH2 will be up and running over at our Mixler sites. And so we'll go over what happened last night, and we will go over what happened. We're going to go over the schedule and let you know what's happening today. It'll be me at Northview High School with 2 matches at 6 and 8. And that'll get things started in one of the brackets. But we'll go through the whole thing with Creek Cup. We had a really cool moment last night in North Atlanta and Decatur, 2 teams that are going to be chasing after championships in their respective classes. But one game was a shutout for North Atlanta. The other game was a win for North Atlanta, but it took a while. We're going to get into game number 2 coming up in just a little bit. All right, let's get through all of the promos and the things to get you ready for Tyler as he comes up here in just a little bit. Once again, reminder that you can go to Grady Baby Co., and you can get the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta sweatshirt and T-shirt, red, black with the gold lettering. I have both. The boss has taken them both. And honestly, it is, and it's got the SDH lettering off of one of the sleeves, and it just shows that you are invested in the game regardless of level. You pick that up. Portion of the proceeds go help out middle school soccer programs tied to Atlanta Public Schools. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. You can get Kickoff Coffee, start your day there. When you check out, we want you to buy the whole store out. Get our friend Melissa Ortiz a smile on her face today. But you can do it at 15% off. So you can buy out the entire store and still get 15% off. Go to use Soccer Down Here 15 at checkout, and that way you get the entire store at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, but at a 15% discount. And they in turn take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives that they have earmarked as being cool at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Also on the board, it is you have our friends at Olive and York. And then what you can do with our friends at Olive and York is you can get the first ever, you get your first ever SDH jersey. And what you can do there is sport the SDH jersey every place you go. And what you can do is get the blue jersey in either white or, the navy jersey in either white letters or light blue letters. And you can support all of our programs for Soccer for Good. Go to Olive and York and you can pick up our jersey for the first one that we've ever had. You can help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. I've got to send 2 scarves to Fairfax, Virginia. I have less than 20 now here in-house. I have less than 20 here in-house to help out the Marshall Islands on this wave of the supporter scarves. They sell jerseys and bucket hats and everything. They do all of that themselves, but they call me, they send me the invoice, and it's like, hey, we got folks in the United States that are picking up Marshall Island scarves. Like I said, I got less than 20 here in the office. I got to send 2 to Fairfax, Virginia. So if you haven't picked up one, pick up one, help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. And they are spending a lot of time in the Four Corners, in Arkansas and Oklahoma and Missouri and in Kansas. And that is a very concentrated, I think it's the second most concentrated area of Marshallese population in the planet. It's up there in the Four Corners, and they're spending time up there, and we're following that story as that continues. So if I have forgotten anything, let me figure it out. Kickoff Coffee, Olive and York, Grady Baby, Marshall Islands, Moxie Midtown. We got to remember that. 7 o'clock on Thursday the 20th, you can go and hang out at Moxie Midtown, and we'll be talking stuff. That's the official term. On the 20th, Moxie Midtown, one of our great sponsors here at SDH. You can go there, and we can just have great conversation, get you ready for the season. And then on the 24th, while I am in Lincolnton for the Thompson-Lincoln County doubleheader that will be airing on the Mixler site, Jason will be at Emory University discussing, and these are the quarterly discussions that we're going to be having leading up to the World Cup about how Atlanta is Soccer City, USA. So on the 20th, Moxie Midtown, 7 o'clock. On the Emory campus, on the 24th, that Monday night after the season opener, and you can go be a part of that discussion as well. And that's going to be very, very cool, having that relationship with Emory and having Jason be a part of the discussion, and once again explaining why Atlanta is what it is and why it is a part not just in the Southeast, but in the soccer world in and of itself. So these quarterly discussions that Jason is having all the way up to the World Cup, very, very cool. I think that's everybody. I think it is. So I think that's all of the promos. If I have forgotten one, then please let me know. And then that way I can remember to absolutely make sure that I don't forget any of our promos as we go forward. By the way, did you see what I did during the opening kickoff? I made sure that I'm not Jason, because initially it was Jason. I'm like, oh crap, I've got to change that. So I had to change that on the air. So, all right. A lot of stuff happened in soccer on the overnight, and on, once again, as we always sit there and say, everybody waits to make their roster moves once the morning show is over. That's just how it is. And so when we had Laurel Phaler on yesterday, the discussion about FC Cincinnati was multi-directional, and it was trying to figure out, okay, does Lucho go someplace? Does he keep hanging out with his best buddies, the treadmills? Does he actually do some toe touchies and some running around in the background for FC Cincinnati? What does Evander do? WWED. Sounds like an AM radio station out in like Covington or something. But we'll find out what what would Evander do? And so this is why we bring in our buddy Tyler Pilgrim in the Atlanta United Conversational Information Exchange Program, as we always do on Wednesdays here at 9:15. So yeah, nothing going on here in Major League Soccer at all involving a team that we cover on a daily basis and a couple of teams that needed to make some moves, and we got to see one of the new rules in Major League Soccer come to the fore. And apparently, like I said, nothing official. An engaged team. That is not me, by the way.
That's me. That's me. Carry on. I don't know why I dismissed that like an hour ago. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I thought that Ache might be bugging you. It's like,
Like,
don't you know
what are you doing?
Don't you know what I'm doing right now? Not like
Preseason.
every Wednesday known to mankind that we can have you when you're not on vacation going to Florida or something.
Right.
But first off, how are the specs? How are the odds?
I am much better. After, let's see, things started getting really, really good on my way to Florida.
Of course they did.
I still wore glasses though, because I didn't want to like throw anybody off. But no, it kind of slowly went away. But I don't look like a Cyclops anymore for the most part. So
do you know what happened?
I genuinely think like I must have gotten some kind of like because my eye itself was fine. It was just my eyelid. So, like you ever had like a sty?
Mm-hmm.
Styes hurt really bad.
Yes, they do.
This didn't like hurt like that. It just swole up. I looked like I got in a fight and I didn't, I don't think.
Oh, God. We can't take anybody anywhere. We're just going to have to wear gloves and live in bubbles, and we can't touch anything and then try and actually have some kind of a daily existence. It just can't happen. Well, first off, glad that you're able to use your normal glasses instead of your sunglasses. Although I mean, it's like you weren't styling and profiling down in Central Florida when you were wearing your shades out in public. But everybody's like, "Well, dude, it's the sun." It's like, I get it.
It made sense down there. It was beautiful weather down there, by the way.
Of course it was. And you're sitting there trying to cover soccer. So Atlanta United with the win over New England. And I'm going to start with the part that seemed very, very Caleb Porter-esque. Oh, are you promoting this morning with the mug? Of course you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on intentionally, but it's there.
Oh, bite your tongue, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Caleb Porter-esque beginnings of the match, where post-game reports out of New England were like, yeah, same old things that we're seeing, same old concerns. But it seemed to those of us that were watching that New England decided that they wanted to up the chippiness factor and go in hard and stick some tackles. And it looked like they had, to a degree, kind of targeted Jamal, because there were 2 tackles early where Jamal took some hard shots. And I think that might have amplified the energy in the room just a little bit.
Yeah, so it was actually really funny. Though, if you've never, and I don't know why anybody here necessarily would have gone, but if you've ever been to IMG Academy, the place is massive, first of all.
Yes, it is.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
So they're playing on the main field that has the big bleachers, and it's got like the box behind it.
The one that's furthest away from everything, like 12 acres. It's out in Volusia County somewhere.
Yeah, literally across the state. But we I sat doing my article and everything in the bleachers. Well, the bleachers were divided up. You had Atlanta and its staff, and then you had New England and its staff. And so I'm sitting there in the Atlanta area, and lo and behold, who is sitting next to me and behind me? All of Atlanta's players. So Brooks Lennon's sitting next to me, and I'm like, "Hey man, how's your shoulder?" And he's like, "It's doing good," And Latte Lath is sitting there. Got to meet Latte Lath just for a quick second. That was cool. Matt Edwards sitting back there because he didn't feature in the game. And then a handful of, new twos guys, some guys that I don't know. So we're sitting there, 10, 15 minutes into this game, and things start getting a little more violent than they probably should have for a preseason game.
Yes, the Violent Gentlemen's Society, courtesy of our friends from Foxborough.
Yeah. And it was so funny listening to Brooks Lennon and Matt Edwards. And then Pedro Amador walks up, And they're watching this game just as fans, and they're like, somebody comes in on Jamal, and they're like, "Hey, what the?" Like, they're going off. They're like getting upset. They're yelling. Anytime there's like a bad giveaway at the back, they're like, like on the edge of their seat. And at one point, Brad, and I'm sure you couldn't hear it on the video,
Mhm.
but Brad comes out and he was like, "Hey man, it's a preseason game," and like is just yelling at a bunch of New England players. And then the guys sitting next to me, they're like, "Yeah, it's freaking preseason." And then there was one moment where Jamal was fouled,
Yes.
and again, don't know what was on the video. Jamal did the fouling. I can tell you that for sure.
Okay.
This was not one where he got, kind of knocked down and injured one of the 2 times. This was after the fact. It was just he was fighting for a ball. It was a duel. He kind of got his leg wrapped around the defender, and the ref called it for Jamal.
Okay.
And and this happened right in front of us. And so we're all sitting there, and the whistle blows, ref gestures that it's Atlanta's free kick, and all of the Atlanta folks sitting there were like, "Oh." And I kinda turned around, and Matt Edwards was sitting behind me, and he's like, and then Doug is over there, and he goes, "I guess it's preseason for the refs too." And so,
Wow.
um, just to give you a general idea of kind of the way that the whole thing played out. Yeah, and so to get back to Jamal,
Mhm.
um, he got taken down the first time, and there was some unhappiness. He got taken down the second time, and I think I was about to say fans because they were acting like fans. The Atlanta players were ready to, like, storm the field. It
Ready
was
to drop, huh?
Yeah. It was a unique experience, I will say that.
But it goes to, I think, the fight that a lot of fans were looking for out of the club, sticking up for your teammate in a situation like that, where dude gets dropped, and your first impulse is to sit there and get in the face of the other guy instead of just letting something happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it multiple times going back to last year, right? And it's one of those things where I think you kinda saw it. There was one other one that I know, unless you had an eagle eye, it was just one of those things. It probably was never caught, it was never mentioned, but there was a point where Saba was on, like, the near touchline,
Mhm.
and he's kinda scrapping for a ball with one of the defenders, and to win the ball in a preseason game, the New England defender, what do you normally do to win a throw in? You kick it off the opposing player, it goes out, you get the throw in, whatever. He did that. He drilled this ball into Saba's, like, stomach.
Mm.
I mean, hard from literally about 3 feet away. And Saba just stood there, and he looked at him, and he goes, and the guy was like, and, like, went off running away, and Saba was just standing there like, "Dude, what why would you do that? Like, why was that necessary?" And it was stuff. So when that happened, a couple of the other players came running up thinking like, "Oh, we're about to get into it." And so I was like, "Oh, this is great to see." And then Jamal gets knocked down. You got guys like Slish running up. You got, of course, Brad's, back there saying his stuff.
Mhm.
Um, you've got, Miggy, who's not that kind of guy, but he's at least kind of walking up and like ready to ostrich sneak attack somebody, you know. So, but it was just, yeah, it was good to see a little bit of attitude, and they need that. Click, another one. Click,
Yeah.
I think, is going to be very big for that kind of attitude, personality.
And there's nothing wrong with showing that you're going to stand up for your teammates, especially in preseason, because it sets a good example for
Yeah.
everybody else going around. Then it comes to set pieces, set pieces, set pieces, and you got to see what AM 59 can do when he's behind the ball. And uh, like I said, looking at what the Revolution coverage folks were mentioning about, once again, set piece defending, and it was one of the worst things that they had issues with last year with Caleb Porter. Guess what? Set piece defending helped out Atlanta United there with goal number one, but you got to see Alexei Miranchuk and the touch and the vision that's there, and Jamal got the slam dunk at the back post.
Yeah, and again, this is just from my vantage point down there.
Mhm.
That ball that he put in, it set piece defense. you can, we talk about that all the time. There was nobody that was going to be able to get to that ball other than the person that Miranchuk wanted to get to that ball. It was that spot on. And I mean, he put it to the back post. Tiare comes up and heads it in, and it was great. I mean, it was perfect. And I asked Dyla about it after, because I said, this is, I think, the third set piece goal in the preseason, and this is something that Atlanta struggled with a lot last year. And he said, actually, it's not something that we've spent a ton of time working on yet. He said, I always tell them the game is won and lost in both boxes. However you're scoring, however you're defending. He's like, I loved on defensive set pieces and defending in general. I love the attitude that I saw out of my players. But on our set pieces, he said, we actually haven't had a lot of time to dive into like routines and stuff. We've just kind of said, this is kind of what we want to do, keep it simple for now until a later time when they can actually develop some things. But he said, you put your guys on it that know how to deliver a ball, and you target the guys that know how to get on the end of it.
Then you get that one, and then you end up with a second. And you mentioned Mateus Click. Click gets the second goal in the second half, and that was what Atlanta United needed. They come out of there with a win in the exhibition season. But most of the starters go 70, and they're gauging fitness and getting ready for, oh, hey, they're playing FC Cincinnati today.
Yeah.
So they're getting ready for all of that activity. What did you think of the starters or the starting lineup? Not necessarily the starters, but that starting 11 that went 70. What was your gauge of everybody that went into the second half and then deep into the second half?
I thought they were definitively the better team over New England. I mean, I thought they did well with when they lost the ball, pressuring hard to get it back and being successful at it. I thought they were unpredictable in how they played because you had Miguel Almiron playing wherever he wanted to play.
Yeah.
And he still has it. I'm telling y'all that now. The guy, again, I know y'all watched it, but seeing him get on the ball, and then what we always go back to that old saying from, I don't know who said it. Maybe it was Joseph back then, but he runs faster when he's on the ball. He did that. He broke lines just by his own running. So by that, he's taking defensive lines and he's throwing them completely out of whack. He's creating space for Saba and Miranchuk and, in this case, Tiare. So that was good to see. Slish and Click looked like they were working really well together, communicating. And then one thing that I noticed being there, and that Dyla mentioned after, because I asked him, like, all the improvements that y'all have made over the preseason so far, what are you most proud of? And he said, actually, it's the communication. He said, we've got guys that are normally quiet, and they're out there being leaders. They're being loud. They're being vocal, where we weren't hearing that in Chattanooga. We weren't hearing that early on in the preseason. And I made it a big point of emphasis. Like, y'all need to be talking with each other. And I heard it in the stands. And this is before Dyla even mentioned anything about it. So you've got guys back there like Derek Williams, who was described last year as a silent leader. He was not silent at all, which is good, And so, I mean, I liked what I saw. The intensity was there, especially in the first half. I mean, I think you started to see a little bit of the tiredness kind of work its way in the second half. Dyla mentioned that too. He said, this is all on tired legs. It's this is good to see because they did this on tired legs and they put in a really good shift. So, I mean, to get 70, I was thinking we were going to get maybe 60 out of them, but so to go an extra 10 and to be as, high energy as they were, I think that's a really good sign.
Well, and I think also, and I have no gauge as to coaching style and demands and thoughts and these kinds of things, but I would also imagine that in situations like what we had this weekend and what you're going to see today and what's going to be seen on Saturday against FC Dallas is that you're kind of pushing your limits a little bit. It's like, okay, I know you can go 60. Let me see what else you can give me right now, because they have to be 90 ready in 10 days time or close to it anyway. You've got to be you've got to be as close to that A+ player that you can be. So not surprising that you go past 60, you get to 70, and then you bring in folks to go for the final 20. And the thing that I enjoyed, and I don't know if this is just me sitting there staring at something, but you bring in let me mention the folks that you brought in with 20 to go. So you get the first half starting 11. First half starting 11 was Brad, Ronald, Derek, Saba, Miggy, Jamal, Click, Abram, DCQ. I still want to talk about DCQ, so hang on to that. AM59 and Bart Sleesh. So that was your starting 11. And so you go into the second half, you go 20 to go. Well, first half, Brad played his 45. Josh came in for the second 45. You get a guy like Ronan Wynn, who is making a point to hang around in whatever capacity. He came in and switched out for DCQ. 20 to go, you bring in Ronan Wynn, Muyamba, Jay, Togashi, Shande, Luke Brennan, Mosqueda, Ephra, Noah, and Will. Now, of 20 to go, just on a general premise, 20 to go, and you bring in Fast Eddie and Cool Hand Luke to run it, folks, for 20 minutes, you got to be an opposing coach sitting there going blankety bleep that these guys are running at me for 20 minutes.
Yeah, because you think at that point you can settle in and try to like maybe get one over, get something back on Atlanta, but you still got to worry about two really fast guys on the outside, and then you got Silva playing as like a 10 basically. So I think they weren't able to kind of impose themselves, New England, on the match as much as they wanted to.
Yep.
The momentum did shift a little bit, and that's partially because, excuse me, Atlanta's trying to hold on to a 2-0 lead, which Atlanta desperately needs to show that they can do.
Yes.
So, and they did well. You know, I thought they definitely took their foot off the gas a little bit, but they picked opportunities to go forward when they could. And having Luke over there talking crap to, guys literally twice his age was cracking me up. And then you have Edwin who is doing his thing. And I think like you didn't lose out on a ton because Togashi's up there just I might have said it over and over again, but that chaotic energy that he has, he's just driving center backs insane. But I was really happy to see Noah and Ephraim back there just holding it down, like handling business like they're a couple of veterans. It was really, really fun to see.
Yeah, and next time you come back, obviously we'll sit there and we'll look at the roster and look at what the back line is. And I know that you and I have talked consistently about what it's looking like, and they're being careful with Pedro and making sure that Hawkeye is going to be at 100% when he comes in on the left-hand side. But you look at what's available to you on the back, all things being equal, everybody being healthy. Then tell me if I miss anybody. So it is Amador and Matt. It is Luke and Derek. It is Ephra and Steon. It is Ronnie and somebody else, but you've got 7 there already as we go. And so you're looking at Ronan Wynn probably with the 2s, and we bring in Jared as a part of this discussion now too. So the back, you got a lot of folks that you can play with there, but I think Jarrett's ears were burning because I'd mentioned DCQ. And what did you get to look at when you were down there in Central Florida with Dominic Chonqui continuing to impress?
So going back to the sitting amongst Atlanta players who were acting as fans, it was actually really cool because, it seems like all eyes have kind of been on Chonqui, and he is impressed. So I'll jump ahead really quick to what Dyla said about him. And he said, first of all, if you ask Dyla about Chonqui, don't call him Chonqui, because he was like, who? And I was like, Dominic. And he's like, oh, you have to call him Dominic for me. But he was like, he is kind of continuation of what he said last week. He's special. He's like, he's that age, and he's built not like he should be built for that age. And he's like, there's things that we have to work on with him, his first touch, things like that, but he's progressing so well. So just continuous, high praises from the coach for Chonqui. But going back to being in the stands during the game, and I think Chonqui won like 3 of the 4 corners or something in the first half, and then he did really well defending. And so we're sitting there, and at one point he had to track back immensely to help out, and he is just full steam ahead. Comes back, and breaks up the play, and gives his teammates a moment to get back in position. And when that happened, you hear Brooks Lennon, he's sitting literally next to me, turns around and goes, "Man, Dom's on something. That kid's doing well." And I was like, "Man, it's really cool to hear like these veteran guys," because he was talking to like Matt Edwards at that point. Steon Gregerson had come by and sat down. Like he's talking to all them, and I was like, "That's really cool," to hear these guys giving praise to a kid that's come up through the ranks and all. And so it's not lost on just like pundits, journalists, and fans. Like Chong Kui is the real deal. He's really, really making an impression in the club.
DCQ's the real deal, Jarrett. Beat 2, 3, 4. There we go.
1, 2. The problem is you're counting in fours and I'm operating in fives.
Yes.
Get on my level. DCQ is the real deal, but we knew this last year.
We did.
The thing is, we go back to the Birmingham game, where like the thing that gets me is that the discussion about it isn't just, yes, he's big, he is athletic, he is not your average 17-year-old physically, but man, it's like, it's mentally, it's the positioning, it's the anticipation, it's the fact that the thing we talk about with these kids all the time is how fast the game is at that level. And he doesn't seem bothered by it.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of does the water off a duck's back kind of thing. Like when he makes a mistake, it doesn't ruin him. He's going to make mistakes. 100% he is, because he's 17.
Yeah.
And no one's perfect at 17.
What? What?
But yeah, man, it happens. But he bounces back from him. He does not let one mistake create a second mistake. So yeah, look, I know they've been linked to rumors about bringing in another left back.
33-year-old man. And literally that is all we've heard is that one bunch of rumor, gossip, etc. that was last week.
Yes.
We haven't heard anything since then.
It feels like it is getting more difficult to keep him out of this depth chart. Like, he's going to see plenty of time with the twos. Don't get me twisted on this. Mm-hmm. But if he keeps doing this, he's going to start making some first-team benches at some point. If he keeps taking the steps he has to take in his development, because he is showing you that he should be that good. And age doesn't matter nearly as much with a young player if they're going to do the job. Like, I don't care how old you are. If you're going to go out there and do the job and give me the best chance to win, then welcome.
So basically what you're saying, that he's big, he's got flow, he's a kid who's in the no DCQ as the next go-round for chance perhaps by the 17s. I don't know. It was something akin to what I was thinking about with the guy that's usually behind him in net. So I was trying to think of something in that rhythm.
Yeah, you can go with that.
Yeah, I mean,
until something better comes along, please.
Yeah. And then to the point about being in net, like, you have another one in net in Jade Hibbert, who is,
yes,
I'm still convinced he's going to force the issue sooner rather than later. Like, his ceiling is bonkers, man.
Mm-hmm.
And don't think because you haven't seen him really so far that he's not making an impact. I mean, it's really tough for the one position that only one group of people can play for, what's essentially a third string, and that's no disrespect, to kind of break in. I mean, I think maybe he'll feature at some point in the preseason, but like if you don't pay attention to the twos, don't let his lack of appearances so far in the preseason make you think like, oh, he's just not that great, or he's not on that growth curve. That dude might be one of the hardest working players at the club on his own personal, kind of abilities and the things that he wants to improve on, and how he listens and takes in information from a guy like Brad, who's, yelling at him every day. He's going to be a phenomenal goalkeeper sooner than later.
And, we mentioned the numbers game at the back. The depth is there. The confidence seems to be there in the younger players, because, you end up with someone like Noah, I think probably the first thing that folks can gravitate toward is the conversation that Garth Lagerwey had with Noah after knocking off Messi and friends. That clip of video that is there, where Garth shows the confidence that he has in a kid like Noah Cobb, and then you bring in all of the new faces, and you mentioned Latte Lot being a part of it, and Click and Sleesh being a part of that midfield. When it comes to the integration of the parts and the puzzle coming together, where are you, Tyler, in the progression from what you've seen from Chattanooga to Central Florida? Where are you in what you've seen in the progression? How are things progressing in your mind?
I'm pleased because this is something I've thought about a lot. Going back to before the first match of preseason, my biggest thing was, and I know I joked around like, oh, they need to win 7-0. Like, I understand that was like a bit, it was a joke, but I did want to see just that progression. I wanted to see discipline. I wanted to see things going in the right direction. And in preseason, I think preseason is one of those things where you can have an okay preseason and the curve is a little gentler, or you can have a really, really good, phenomenal preseason. It's just like a growth chart, And I think that's what we've seen, because every game, this team and the players on it, the individual players playing, have all gotten better. And it's not just, Saba had a moment of brilliance or somebody did something really cool. It's, hey, I'm seeing these two players working well together. I'm seeing, the right center back, whoever it may be, and the right back and the right winger all kind of working in tandem together. I'm seeing the midfield switching in and out, and then, a winger from one side kind of cutting in and becoming a part of the midfield, and they're all communicating and pressing high when they need to as a team and falling back as a team when they need to. That's the things that I've been paying attention to, and I think they've all gotten better. I mean, we can look at it simply with going back to Chattanooga and Ronnie Dyla being like, we passed the ball backwards too much.
I was
Now we're passing the ball backwards just to quickly reset and play forward rapidly. Like when we have possession, our entire goal is to move the ball forward, not sideways, not laterally, only back if we have to. And we're going to really, really pressure the opposing team back into their half. And we're going to keep pushing, keep chipping away until we're just predominantly playing in their half of the pitch. And I think that's where the discipline comes into play. And I think that's the biggest difference from the past couple of years until now, is it does feel like much more cohesive amongst all of the players playing. Even when you make subs, even when you have, different groups coming in, it seems like everybody has that same vision and they're actually on the same page.
Jarrett, what about you in progression and where things stand?
No, it's the same thing for me. This has been the thing for me going back even the last year. When you went into the season, is when the ball moves backwards, you move the ball backwards to reset your attack.
Mhm.
Because look, it's the idea. I know the idea is we should always be going forward. That's suicide, and you know it. Because if you start playing down the right and they load up the right, they set traps for you, it's just going to result in a turnover. But if, and you do this correctly, you take that ball back, you work the ball back to the left quickly, and you take advantage of the overload, and you catch them coming. Maybe even you flip it to the left and then reset play back to the right with a big switch, and you catch them in the middle of their transition of trying to get rebalanced. Sometimes you do have to take a step back to go forward. That's fine. The thing for me for the whole preseason has been little increments of getting better. But one of the things I've liked is that in the two last games we've seen, you've gotten a lead, and then you've been stable with it.
Yeah.
That was preseason. Teams are going to be changing out. Like Atlanta did a whole ass fire line change, like hockey level change.
Fire wagon change, brother.
Man,
those are my favorite.
It looked like the coach on the bench screamed switch it up, and you changed lines in a hockey game in that New England match.
That was awesome.
It was beautiful. It was art, but make it sport.
Yes.
But but I wanted to see that, and not just from the starters, but from the kids and from everybody. Of you got a 1-0 or 2-0 lead, how are you going to protect it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like man, and Dyla's aggression is not unique. Gonzalo Pineda talked about it as well. That like his favorite way to protect a 2-0 lead was to make it a 3-0 lead, and so on and so forth. I think Dyla has the same intentions. Maybe they have different ideas of how to get there. But yeah, if you go, we're leading by a goal, what should we do? Let's go lead by 2 goals, then by 3 goals, then by 4 goals.
Mm-hmm.
If we beat them into the concrete, they can't get up.
Right.
And yeah, you can take risks in doing that. It's what it is. It's how you choose to operate versus sitting back in a bunker.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to see how they dealt with that pressure. I wanted to see how they dealt with having those 2 goal leads, of not giving up cheap, easy opportunities, of managing the moments mentally and emotionally. Because yeah, you're bringing more of an edge, I think, right now than we saw with this team in the past. And how do you manage those moments? Because I thought we saw that, and y'all feel free to disagree. That's fine. I thought we saw it more at the end of last season, with like when Rob was able to put his stamp on things.
Yeah.
Like go back to the Red Bulls game in the Bends, when you get someone sent off for Red Bulls, and you end up with you end up with Stian Gregerson like squaring up with a player. Like you start getting guys who are ready to fight, and it felt like that baseline was built last year, and now you're building on it. So how do you handle the emotions of it all? I don't want to see continued progression. We'll see it today, I'm sure. Like you're not going to win every preseason game. It's okay. You don't have to sound an alarm if you lose a preseason game, because you're probably going to lose one of the next 2 just because it's preseason, and kids and guys are getting fitness, and they're figuring themselves out, and they're trying to build chemistry and do something new. And that's okay. Show me progression. Show me more of the passing that we saw in Birmingham, where you're trying to play a dangerous ball through the channel.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing a ball that is, if this comes off, not only is it doesn't go from this is a dangerous opportunity, this turns into a oh god, we're all gonna die dangerous opportunity. Well, for the defense, for Atlanta, you're happy,
right?
But the other thing I want to see, I think, personally, is when you do play those balls, and when you are taking those risky passes that can just break the game completely open, is the ability to stay organized defensively, because not all those balls are going to come off, and some of them are going to come right back down your throat. They're going to get cleared. They're going to trigger a counter. How do you handle it defensively? How organized are you? How organized is Bartosz Szlisz, who feels like has been handed the responsibility of being a leader, organizing the front, like just the first wave of resistance. So how do you manage that? How do you manage it defensively? How organized can you stay?
Since Jarrett mentioned Gonzalo Pineda, I figure that before the 2 of you depart, whenever Jarrett decides his Irish goodbye is going to be Irish, and then Tyler's tired of hearing from me. Leagues Cup, of course, came out with their opening round of group stage activity. And don't tell me for a second that you ain't looking at opportunities to create audience and create plot lines, because if you missed it, the qualifying phase for Atlanta United in Leagues Cup 2025 includes the following clubs: Necaxa coming to Mercedes-Benz on July 30. Pumas at Inter & Co. at the home of the Purple team on August 2. And then for the 3rd match in a week in the qualifying phase at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I don't know if you've heard this, and stop me if you either haven't or you have different information, but Atlas is coming to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And we all know about the volatility of Liga MX. But right now, in this particular club known as Atlas, there is an individual that is very familiar to the Atlanta United fan base and to Major League Soccer. So the last match in the qualifying phase in Leagues Cup 2025 involves Gonzalo Pineda, Atlanta United, and Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Wednesday, August 6th. Don't tell me there ain't no helicopters hanging around the league offices.
Oh, no. This was completely intentional.
I'm shocked that this happened.
I know, right? This is ridiculous. Whose idea was this? This has nothing to do with anything.
Ridiculous.
I mean, you expected it was either going to be them or Cruz Azul, or I'm surprised it wasn't both, honestly.
We'll have a three-way dance. Just bring them both in. We'll play it in double.
Yeah. So they figured out a way to get, Leon over here as well, and just go ahead and bring Almada back too somehow. But no, yeah, I mean, what did you expect? Like, Pineda's down there. He's the coach, and you kind of alluded to it, but there is a possibility he might not make it that far, because
it's Liga MX.
He has yet to win a game.
Yeah,
they're 0-2-4 with him in charge. So I mean, I wish that guy nothing but the best of luck. I really do. But it's Liga MX, and they aren't exactly known for patience with coaches. So we'll see. But as of right now, that Wednesday is a must-watch game for anybody. I don't care if you're an Atlanta United fan or not. The only thing that would make it better is if somehow Joseph Martinez were involved.
Well, let's see. He is attached to
Joseph's busy right now, like
he's over there
getting ready for the absolute street fight that is going to be the San Jose Earthquakes.
Yes.
Because Arango and Joseph and
Bruce
and Bruce is going to be.
I just want cameras, man. That's all. Season 2 of Onside is going to be amazing.
Hard Knocks San Jose.
Someone showing up to a media availability with a black eye.
Yep.
like Kiffin did at the Sun Bowl back in the day.
Is that rice on your shoulder? What is that? What is that? Do I smell chicken? What's going on here? The San Jose is the story. I think that's going to be the gift that keeps on giving this entire season. But but yes, Leagues Cup.
Bruce is going to end up playing against New England, and he's going to try and put 9 goals on them.
Yeah. Considering that he is Revs West, he took 4 players from New England in the offseason. You end up with Chicho Arango.
Going to try and set a goals record against New England.
Take the over. Whatever the over is, if San Jose plays New England, take the over. And make sure that you do that in each half as well.
And they were trying to go for Lucho as well.
Yeah.
They were
trying
to build some things over there for sure.
Oh, man.
John Fisher spent money. I was an A's fan, I'd be pissed. I mean, seriously. John Fisher spending money? Who is this individual, and what have you done with John Fisher?
Bruce Arena's got him locked up in his basement somewhere. No, I'm doing this now.
Give me the checkbook. Wait, let me see. You see how all right. So there's a little bit of a loop in the J, and that doesn't look like there's any other letters there. So if I just draw a J and then maybe draw a line, how does he do that F? That's okay. So there's a bit of a. Does that and sit there and it's like like Bart Simpson at the chalkboard trying to figure out how to sit there and make John Fisher's signature for all of the league transactions. Oh no, it's good. Check's good. Yeah, it's he signed it. Yeah, one of those kind of things. Before both of you get out of here, we had Laurel Failer on yesterday from Queen City Press discussing Lucho and possible destinations, and we did anticipate that it was going to be 2 players, 3 cities. And what the order was going to be, we don't know. But as of right now, nothing officially official. But it appears that Cincinnati are doing the intra-league transfer purchase deal kind of thing. It also appears that it's going to be for 12 million bones plus add-ons to bring Evander to Cincinnati. And Lucho Acosta, in turn, goes to Dallas because they needed help after the Jesus Ferreira trade, sending him to Seattle and getting back a couple of fish from the market and maybe some coffee from Starbucks in return. What do you think, Tyler? Like I said, we figured these two stars would be going someplace, but now it looks like Lucho to Dallas, Evander to Cincy. Your early thoughts on this here to wrap up your time here in hour number one.
I mean, I think they both needed it because, I mean, Dallas, I wasn't convinced. I really wasn't. But now I think, I mean, you bring in a talent like that, I think that's exactly what they needed to kind of complete their puzzle. And then Cincy, kind of the same thing because we saw the drop off last year a little bit, and you can attribute that to, you know, injuries in the defense and other things. But Lucho was that guy.
Yeah.
They need a number 10 to play the way that they want to play. So it almost felt like Cincy had to make this happen. They had to get that replacement. And there really wasn't a better guy if you're trying to do the whole cash transfer thing. There really wasn't a better option out there. So it instantly, for me, puts them right back up into like that top 4 territory. I think that's what they needed. Then you got to see what your guy who temporarily broke the transfer record can do.
Yeah, Kevin.
Until Atlanta had something to say.
Yeah, Jen K. Yeah, you'll see
Yeah.
how he integrates. Yeah,
But I mean, I think it's a good move for both of them. I do feel like $5 million was a little bit of a, I don't know, a little bit of a fleece.
Yeah,
in one direction, but that it is what it is. Not my money. So
yeah. Well, but that's why we get to talk about it.
Yeah.
Jarrett, with these two stars going in directions where we figured they would be going, at least one of the two. Instant thoughts, instant analysis on something that's not officially official yet.
They're different players. And I'm trying to be careful on the way I phrase this because I don't want to insult anybody. But they're different players. Like, Evander's a very, 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 very good player.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Lucho, and it's not to say that he's not good. It's just that Lucho was kind of a unique little site.
Pain in the ass.
Well, but it's not just that. Like, obviously, Lucho Costa is incredibly good at everything he does, but he fit so well into what you were doing, where, you know, everything would just kind of get stretched and chaotic in Cincinnati. Can Evander copy that? I don't know. Maybe. Like, I think he could be very, very good just in a different way. I think asking him to be, hey, we just need you to do what Lucho did, I think that's risky.
Yeah,
let Evander be Evander. Yeah. And just adapt to what you have. And they're not dumb. They know what they're up. They know what they're doing. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Tyler, Evander is the kind of guy that's more of, and this is taking system guy and putting it in quotation marks, and, you know, guy that works in 3 dimensions inside his own brain. Evander, to me, seems like the kind of guy that wants to create on his own. He wants to color outside the lines, where Lucho Acosta would do that, but he would do it within the framework of what Pat Noonan wanted done at Cincinnati. And this is where I'm intrigued. Does Evander continue to paint outside the lines, outside of what Noonan wants systemically, or does he come back in? Does he reel himself in to be a part of the collective? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, Evander is a Pity Martinez and Lucho is a Marcelino Moreno. And that's just the weird way I look at it. But I agree with you. I think Evander is going to be that guy who, come hell or high water, he's going to try to make something happen, even if he has to step outside the lines to do it and be a little more abrasive when things maybe aren't going their way. And I think I don't want to say he's more likely to put the team on his shoulders, because it feels like Lucho Acosta kind of did that for like half the year, a couple of years ago. But just in a different way, Lucho is now going to go to a place, and I'm really curious to see how he integrates. But despite his recent, you know, whatever we want to call it, temper tantrums or whatever, he seems to me to be the personality that's more apt to say, all right, this is what you want me to do. I agree with it. Now I'm going to go make everybody around me better, but I'm also going to score some goals, and I'm going to provide y'all all the service you need to go be successful.
All the services.
Well,
Tonight, well, actually, you're going to be watching a match and taking notes before you have SNS tonight. What do we expect this evening on SNS PM?
This evening it is. So we did a kind of a pre-recorded thing. So we threw that up on our Patreon, but it'll be up on the show tonight with Mr. Kevin Egan.
Ah, yes.
So,
Kevin will be with us tomorrow, by the way.
Hey, there you go. Look at that. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Kevin's doing the car wash with us here.
Oh yeah, yep. So, no, we had a good chat with him. You know, he's super excited about Mingy. So that'll be tonight, and then we're working on very closely. We got some really cool news that we're getting ready to announce very soon. So
you're gonna break it here. Where are you gonna break it? What are you gonna do?
Well, you know, it's like kind of in flux right now because like I could say it now, but like the graphic isn't ready to then go put on social media.
Okay.
There's a couple of things. So I'm kind of like, it's going to fall where it falls because once I get the final go ahead, I can say, all right, well, there's the graphic, and then we can put it up, and then whatever appearance we happen to be on next, then that's where I'll verbally say it. So
okay, all right, just checking, because if you ever want to break any SNS news, you can always do it
oh
here.
no, absolutely,
yeah, and when we get into pregame Fridays, like I said, anytime in that last hour, I'm debating turning the last hour into something akin to a Friday free for all, where if anybody that is a part of the family wants to come in and crash for however long they want to crash in that hour number 2 to preview the weekend and everything, we'll just kind of throw everything up against the wall and, hey, look, spaghetti. No, it's art. One of those kind of things.
Are y'all doing anything different this Friday?
Not that I mean, it's a normal Friday. I'm trying to think. Do I have my? No, it is a normal Friday. So
Okay.
So hour number 2 is hour number 2. It is what it is. And I mean, Jason probably might crash to talk about Dallas a little bit and whatever the news is. Try and get caught up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring as Greg Garza tours the planet, and Michael Parkhurst is trying to get Rhode Island FC all squared away for season number 2. So,
hey, they were down in Bradenton. They were right there with us when Atlanta was playing.
So you got to see Conno Smith and everybody. Okay,
all of them. They were all there.
I get to see it,
and then it dawned on me. Oh, that Parky was here. He was like the first big guy to come out of here. So
yes, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, that second hour on Friday, I think I'm just going to degrade it into spaghetti turning into art, especially when we get into the season with all the weekend previews and everything, and weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. So what time, where on all of the SNSs on the social medias and the YouTubes?
7:00 tonight.
Okay, so 7:00 tonight, SNS. It's going to be Kevin Egan on tape. We'll have Kevin Egan live tomorrow on the show to discuss things, and we'll have Kevin dropping them down. But yeah, SNS tonight, Kevin Egan on tape. Tyler Ache, Sid, Tommy, some massive combination of all of the above.
Yeah, it'll be. Let's see. It'll be me, Ache, and Tommy tonight.
There you go. All right, so tune in tonight on the YouTubes and all the socials. Tyler, is always great to see you, my friend, here on the Atlanta United Conversational Information Exchange that we have here on Wednesdays at 9:15. Be good, my friend. Have a good show tonight, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, see y'all.
There goes Tyler. And so, Jared, I mean, it was $5 million one day for one transaction, and you're looking at the other transaction going 12 plus. And I don't know if it smacks of a level of desperation for Cincinnati, knowing that they had to come up with the hashtag Lucho replacement or anything like that. But yeah, $5 million for FC Dallas to pick up Lucho Acosta. What do you think's the better deal? The $12 million to bring in Evander to color outside the lines, or Lucho for $5 million? Or are they separate fleecings?
Well, no, they're separate, man. Because with Lucho, I'm going to tell you, man. I'm going to be keeping an side eye on Lucho at Dallas, because if he can't get settled,
then
I'm like, okay, well, what's the damage? What's your damage, man? Because you were and maybe he is one of those guys who's like a Tata kind of guy, where he only wants to be somewhere for so long, and then you need to change the scenery.
Yeah.
But But I think he could be very, very good for Dallas. And I think, like I said, I think Evander's going to be different for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
He's not the same player.
No.
The interesting part for me is Portland. Like, sounds like DaCosta's coming in for that. But what does Portland look like in year 2 for Neville?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is also, like, they're getting rid of a guy who is very good, but it was not working. There were issues, and you moved on, and you got something for him.
Yeah.
Which is a damn sight better than what could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do? So
Yeah.
how do you make this better?
Mm-hmm.
We'll
Right now, you're looking at Portland offensively with 16 senior roster spots. Your forward are Anthony. You've got Felipe Mora as a designated player. You've got Santi Moreno as a U22. Jonathan Rodriguez as a DP. And Evander will say he swaps out as a part of that. So that's what you're staring at with your DPs and your forwards. Jonathan Rodriguez at forward, Santi Moreno at forward as a U22, Felipe Mora and Anthony as a part of the attack there for Portland. So
what does that look like for them?
Yeah.
And how much pressure is on Phil Neville, who I will maintain, I don't know if Phil Neville is a great coach or not. I still think he kind of got a raw deal in Miami just because he managed to wrangle that roster enough 2 years ago to get them to the playoffs. 3 years ago, excuse me. He wrangled that roster enough to get them to the playoffs.
Yep.
Didn't recreate the magic and was the first on the chopping block when Messi was coming in.
Yep.
Like I said, I don't know how much of it was him versus someone else, but he was the guy filling out the team sheet and putting the armband on Gregory instead of the Hamburglar.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he did really well 3 years ago there. Then I thought he was a very easy scapegoat 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it looks like, man, because like last year there were like some of the games Portland had, you're watching like, this is, wow, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing really well, and you're like, I don't know how sustainable this is. And I don't know what it looks like this year.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't look good,
yeah.
How long is the leash?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got Kevin Kelsey also coming in as a part of this offense, and that's, and that is, and I know that Emilio and some others kind of wanted to get into hot seats and things like that. I would maintain that one of the hot seats early in is Portland with Neville, especially if things don't go well out of the blocks for this group. I mean, Evander is like, we need a break, and so Evander is moving on. Apparently, we're getting close. Like I said, we've got numbers being tossed around. Nothing is official in press releases or anything like that. But if we operate under the premise that Evander is gone, and you have the younger players that are there at forward for Portland, with the expectation of, okay, he's out, and we've brought in guys. DaCosta from Lens in the midfield is what is also being looked at as an addition. And you're going, we're spending a lot of money here, bringing in a lot of talent, and we jettisoned what you perceived was an issue. If they stumble out of the blocks, I think the magnifying glass goes to Portland. I think you're right in the West. I think that Portland is definitely a place where folks are going to sit there and do the bit looking into the hotel eyeglass in the door, and they're going to sit there and they're going to get it real close and try to figure out what's going on inside the hotel room. I think Portland might be a hot seat early on. Yeah.
The entire Northwest will be interesting. The whole Cascadia thing, because you have Portland trying to figure themselves out. You have Seattle, who, man, like, it feels like for a team that's always finishing top 4, they're just like itching to figure out what to do with Schmetzer, and almost like they would rather be a year early than a year late in terms of flipping the switch and flipping the page. And then Vancouver fired Vanny, and God only knows what it's going to look like this year. Yeah, man, all the Cascadia is going to be weird. And I fully expect and look forward to Seattle like freaking out over everything and still finishing top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of like it is not identical. It's not a 1-to-1, but it's sort of kind of like when a friend of mine who's a big Steelers fan laments Mike Tomlin, which at this point I'm starting to understand fully. But it's like, man, look, y'all made the playoffs year after year after year after year. Like, I didn't see back-to-back winning seasons for the Falcons until I was in college. Like,
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
actually, it might have been out of college. I need you to understand your baseline and my baseline are two very different things right now.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, that was kind of where that's where I was with the whole thing. So I am intrigued with what's going on in Portland. Since we're on hot seats, and I know that we got to talk about when you take your Irish goodbye, we'll get into all the other leagues and all the other events and everything that happened, Champions League, CONCACAF, all that other stuff that happened yesterday. Will get you ready for today. Since we're on hot seats, who else in your mind, as you peruse the conference names, who else could be on one of those hot seats early on in your mind? Since we're talking about it?
I think Neville will be. Man, I'm trying to rack my brain off the top of my head. Like you can get like really weird with answers. Like Dyla's not going to be. At least I don't expect him to. NYC, all your new managers, you're not going to start on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Toronto could be weird
I
say that because and I had expressed this a feeling to you and to Jason and to Nick. I don't know how good of a coach they have in house right now.
Right.
I don't know how good Robin Fraser really is because I feel like every place we've seen him, the deck has been stacked against him. Like when he was in Colorado, man, they were not spending like they're spending now. Like they weren't giving him the tools that they have given Chris Armas.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work in Toronto, like Toronto seems like they have, like this is like Toronto is like a 2007 Grand Cherokee rolling into the shop with the transfer case about to fall out of the car. This is like a 90s Kia where it was buy one, get one.
Yes.
Like, where do we want to start? Yeah, could they scapegoat him? Theoretically, yeah, sure they could. As far as other hot seat guys, like the guys I would think of are either absurd or I don't think it's going to happen. Like, if Kansas City collapses under the weight of their own existence, like who's going to tell Peter Vermes that he's got to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Peter Vermes is the guy in charge. Like, you got to have somebody convince him that it's past his time.
Yeah.
Hutch says Mascherano after he upsets Messi, especially if they aren't getting a lot of good results. I think it would take more than that, though, man. I do.
Yeah.
That's just me.
But does the collective protect him because of his ties to Argentina?
Maybe. Like, it's kind of weird right now. Like, I'm trying to I'm going through the coaches right now.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured you're looking at lists and trying to add contect. Yeah.
Let's say DC gets a slow start. Troy Lesesne.
Yeah.
I don't think Houston would do it to Ben Olsen.
No.
If LAFC was bad to start, but you're not going to fire Steve Cherundolo right now.
No,
Man, it's got a ring.
But cross town with LAG, how much patience do you give Vanny knowing that you sold?
Vanny just got you a ring. I think you're going to give him a year. That's my opinion on it. I think this is like, even if he went full Ed Orgeron, you're going to give him a year. Oh, here you go. Laurent Courtois.
Yeah.
Laurent Courtois.
Okay.
Joey Saputo
Yeah.
loves nothing more than pulling a quick trigger. Courtois just gets tired of Joey Saputo's entire existence.
Oh.
And I think Laurent Courtois is a good manager. I like what Montreal did last year.
Mhm.
We are quickly, like, it felt like they were speed running it and they stabilized it, but we might be approaching the event horizon of the Caleb Porter process in New England at some point. God only knows what happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. If Portland does something
Yeah.
dumb,
Portland.
like,
Yeah.
if Portland isn't good, maybe Phil Neville is that
Yeah.
the guy you throw in there.
Yeah.
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 Peter Vermes has been there for 15 years. Again, you're going to have to pry him. You are going to have to dig him out roots and all, man. This is like, you're going to have to get some freeze away like it's a wart.
Yeah.
Not to say that Peter Vermes is a wart, but like you're not going to just be able to scrape him off.
No, it's you're going to have to apply compound W and hope that the commercial tells the truth.
Emilio, I don't know if Vanni Sartini is working.
I haven't seen anything about Vanni picking up another gig someplace.
I haven't either. Schmetzer, and the thing with Schmetzer is, and this would be something we can ask Nico.
Yeah.
My read on Schmetzer personally,
and
I'm not Nico. I don't have Nico's contacts. I'm not as knowledgeable in Seattle as Nico. I will defer to him 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ricky, I'm not Googling it all right now because if I run this keyboard right now, you're going to think like the seventh trumpet has sounded or the seventh seal has opened of Revelation. This thing's loud.
Well, but Ricky went magic Google 8-ball, and that's fine.
Yeah,
so
that's fine. But with Seattle, with Schmetzer, even if they decided it was time, my guess with Schmetzer, and this is an I think, if we want to use therapy words,
sure,
I think you would offer him a front office spot, and I think you would let him step down with dignity. You would not. I don't think you would just fire Brian Schmetzer like, we've relieved him of his duties. No. Man's a legend.
Yeah, you give him the ceremonial boost up, role within the organization, thank him for his service.
He's resigning his post at the end of the year. He's retiring from coaching.
Yeah.
That's my guess on it, because Schmetzer's a damn legend.
Yeah.
Again, he won UCCL.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's won you trophies. He's continued the greatness that Seattle has always had. I guess I'm trying to, because I'm thinking like guys who have been there who haven't shown anything, but all the guys who are more tenured, like Pablo Mastroeni's done great work in Salt Lake. Now they're going to need a new striker set up. Oscar Breja's been at Orlando for 5 years, but if they can't get over the hump this year into MLS Cup, do they just say, whatever, we're gonna do something different and panic?
Thanks for your time. Here's a pocket watch. Kick him in the butt. Send him on his way.
Yeah, I don't really know who. Like I said, Troy and DC would be one of them that I would be thinking about. Maybe Caleb Porter if New England is bad.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, because I feel like the first one's always one that comes out of left field for us.
Yes, that is true.
So,
and something.
Can I give you this?
Yeah.
This will be my Irish goodbye.
Sure.
He won't be the first guy fired. What if I told you the first guy to leave a post is Wilfred Nancy in the summer takes a job in Europe?
Huh. I mean, we figured that might be what his end game might be anyway, but with all of the movement in and around Columbus, Cucho to Real Betis, et cetera, do you sit there and say, okay, I think I've maxed things out. I don't want to, take this thing back down to the studs and build the house all over again. And
maybe
if there's a gig in Ligue 1 that might have a paycheck,
I think he's better than Liga.
I know. Someplace in Europe where he can hang his hat and take folks into Champions League and Europa League and such, I could definitely see him leaving at some point.
So that'll be my stupid prediction that looks really bad. I agree, Mataflow. All I needed to know about Mascherano is that when he got announced, all of like the people, the sickos in Argentina who follow the youth national team, were over the moon.
They're like,
yeah,
yeah,
he's gone. Oh, thank Christ, he's gone.
Yes.
Yeah, he's here because he's Messi's friend. But I don't think they'll just straight up fire him. They don't want it. They don't want an angry Messi, especially when Messi's getting back into his emo era.
Yes.
But that'll be my stupid prediction that looks bad in 5 months.
Sure.
Will be that Nancy's the first coach to not be coaching the team. The first coach who leaves a team, but it won't be because he's fired. It'll be because somebody offers him something he can't refuse in Europe.
Yes. The new challenge for Wilfred Nancy, and they do something in the summer. All right. So you're going to go ahead and make your Irish goodbye, and we'll see you when we see you. There you go. See, there's an Irish goodbye. He just dumps. I love that. All right. So there's your hot seat conversation, plus not necessarily hot seat, but next levels and desires and things like that. Okay. 45 minutes. We got to talk about CONCACAF. We got to talk about Champions League. We got to talk about juice boxes. We got to talk about all the things that are there. We also have to talk about the summer leagues that we cover here on the network. They have their alignments, and we'll be catching up with a lot of the clubs and seeing where things stand in USL League 2 and let you know where things are with that. U.S. Women's National Team named their 23. I would also anticipate a new Soccer for US POD coming up, getting ready for She Believes and all the announcements and things. We'll gloss over the roster and let you know what was there for the USWNT. The U17s and CONCACAF are in group play. Keep an eye on them with the matchup against St. Kitts and Nevis. I don't think they're going to score 22 like they did against the U.S. Virgin Islands, but we'll look at that and go through a gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and everything else that's going on today. Now, we mentioned Creek Cup in opening kickoff with the beginning of our real high school football, high school soccer season. And that is going to be once again today on the network, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock from Northview. I will be up there for that, and we will break it all down with all of the activity. And once again, thanks to our friends at Johns Creek and thanks to our friends at Northview for letting us come and hang out and be a part of the Creek Cup. Once again, starts today. It's on both sides of the aisle. You get both the boys and the girls competitions. Just be ready, because if you're going to Northview today, then just be sure that you are prepared, that you dress warmly, and that you are prepared. So that's what you're looking at Creek Cup. Once again, just so you know, today at Northview, Campbell and LaGrange at 6, Johns Creek in Midtown at 8, and that is at Northview, and it's girls action, and that is today. That gets us started and into Creek Cup in and of itself. Both SDH 1 and SDH 2 will be in action tomorrow, because the boys will get underway at Johns Creek, Walton, Sequoia, Campbell, and North Atlanta. I will have Northview and Walton at Northview at 6 o'clock on SDH 2. And so just set your notifications as to where you can pick it up, where you can go, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, and follow all that. So set your notifications on all of your social media and get it all dialed up. But yesterday was a great start for our season. Creek Cup broadcasts start tonight, a little before 6 o'clock. The two girls matches in the green bracket, and their championship games will be on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock on SDH2. So that is the official beginnings of the season. And thanks to our friends once again at Johns Creek, who wanted us to be a part of it. So this is our official kickoff, being a part of this kickoff classic, the Creek Cup up there at Johns Creek and Northview High School. So looking forward to that today. All right, let's say hi to everybody and find out what's on your mind this morning as we go. And thank all of y'all for being a part of this. I know that, and the other fact that you guys are the proofreaders of the show and the producers of the show, thank you very much for that. Because, you change the title and everything, but you don't change the date. Changed my name when I realized that I was being fonted as Jason early on. Figured out how to do that. But what I didn't want to do is sit there and if I had to, because I'm still learning the software here with this new program, I didn't want to edit something and then have it bump me off the air because then it'd be like, yeah, that's Nelson. So I know that when you're clicking on it right now, in the edit, I'll change the date to 2/12. And I know that the date right now is still 2/11. So morning, D. Graham. Morning, Alex. Morning, Ricky. Carmel 723. Welcome. Good to have you as a part of things. Sup? Not much. We're here every day, and we're here for a solid 2 hours, if not more, talking everything and whatever's on the collective's mind and the Twitch pitch. We do have our own topics. I think this is Carmel 723's first time here. So welcome, and welcome to being a part of the Twitch pitch and everything that we talk about on a daily basis. Once again, we mentioned tomorrow, Kevin Egan's going to join us live at 9:15, and then the Power Hour with Nino and Nico at 10 and 10:30. Nino Torres from our friend at Gold TV, where he comes fully loaded to talk about things. And I've still got to get the audio because literally this weekend, if you missed it, he was calling Braga and Gil Vicente on Gold TV in the Portuguese League, and it turned into a discussion of Invincible, the movie, Any Given Sunday, the movie, and his segment here on SDH. Literally, it was a 3-minute howdy do about Nino and Fully Loaded in SDH. I've got to find that audio. It was like in the 13th minute of the match on the weekend. And then Nico Moreno joins us last half hour of the show. He'll break down everything from a Pacific perspective in Major League Soccer. Friday's the free-for-all, and we're getting you ready for the weekend on a couple of different levels. Tomorrow, we also have to talk about Atlanta and Cincinnati, which is today, the last activity for Atlanta United at IMG Academy. Then they'll pack things up, head this way where it's cold. So they'll have FC Dallas this weekend at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground behind closed doors, and it will be streamed. The future will be streamed, people. It will be streamed. So the start time for the matchup against FC Cincinnati currently not posted, but keep an eye out on your socials, and you can see what's going on with Atlanta United at atlutd.com/live, and you can keep an eye on that there. Let's see, trying to Cincinnati February 12th, and so keep an eye if I think the match is streamed today. I know the Dallas match is streamed. Hang on, let me clear my throat just a second. So keep an eye out on your socials for your updates involving Atlanta United and what's going on with the matchup against FC Cincinnati. The matchup against FC Dallas streamed atlutd.com/live. So that's where you keep up with everything Atlanta United. So that is your rundown of everything Atlanta United. Yes, Ricky, this is where we need like Machop Chol. It's match day. I love that drop that they would give us with Machop. So no, we will not be seeing a certain number 10. And a good point by D. Graham, where he's like, not today, but maybe Saturday. Might be there hanging out. Instead of catching a flight to Dallas, maybe just catch a flight to the world's busiest airport, sit there and hang out and wait for everybody. Greet them at the airport, have the sign, FC Dallas. You're waiting for FC Dallas and you're Lucho Acosta at Hartsfield, flying from wherever you are to Atlanta, hanging out. And you're right there. Everybody comes up the escalator with the signs. Lucho's the guy with the sign for the rest of his teammates. Beats them all to Atlanta. And Tommy Scoops has really done a lot of work to get things squared away when it comes to all of the transactions involving a lot of the teams out west. So a lot of movement out there as well. It's a cashfer. Is that a hashtag cashfer? Probably it is. Rich, good morning. That was why I wanted to get into Tyler wearing his glasses. I think his camera was reversed. So we'll have him check on that next time. Pars reading into anything in the cryptic post from Edwin. Not at the moment. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, Edwin has said, Edwin has been linked in the past. And like I said, this was a long time ago. Edwin has been linked to moves in South America and loans and such. So let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can workshop this a little bit and see if there is anything involving Edwin on the 280 character app. And let's see. Latest, February 10, but not that Edwin Mosqueda. The latest came from a gentleman named Edwin Mosqueda on the 280 character app. And let's see. Weightlifting. And then something that happened back in November, the goal that Fast Eddie scored going up against a team in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I haven't seen anything recent from Edwin. Of course, it might have been on the IG, and I would have had to hunt for it. So, like I said, there have been times in the past where folks have been linked, and I haven't seen anything in a conversation recently. Morning, Sharif. We mentioned Rui, and Ricky says that record in Portugal is saying Boa Vista is in advanced discussions with Mario Rui. And D. Graham with my first. See, D. Graham's stealing my lines. Has Boa Vista paid Reggie Cannon yet? That would be the question. Has he paid him? Have they paid Reggie Cannon? I think that's in the courts. I legitimately think that's in the courts. Morning, Hutch. And we caught up with your conversations that were there. Emilio remembering things in the past. Hutch, does Jarrett think Celtic have any chance against Bayern? Jarrett needs to talk in the Twitch pitch. We forgot to ask him about that. Yeah, Ricky said Leagues Cup for Atlanta United would be only more intentional if we were playing Cruz Azul. There you go. Not a shock. Yeah, New England and San Jose, May the 17th. First at Gillette. And so yeah, May 17th. Must-watch television, must-see TV, New England and San Jose. That is probably going to be the most attended match involving the New England Revolution in quite some time. Because everybody, the old school fans are going to want to see Bruce Arena. And the new fans are going to sit there and want to beat Bruce Arena. So we'll see May 17th. Circle your calendars, mark that down. That is when that is going to go down. Must see TV there. Emilio says for him, Cruz Azul, the matchup would be more ugly. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know what Cruz Azul is up to right now. Let's check and see what's going on in Liga MX, and we can see where Cruz Azul is currently in the Clausura. And we can check all of that. So standings here, match day 6 of 17. Cruz Azul currently 4th in the table. 3-2-1 after 6, 11 points. Scored 10 in 6 matches. And Atlas right now 0-4-2, 15th out of 18. But you've got some heavy hitters that would not be making the Clausura playoff right now. But like I said, it's 6 matches out of 17. You're still a third of the schedule through. Santos is at the bottom of the table. They've lost all 6. Atlético San Luis, Xolos, Atlas, Puebla, Monterrey, Querétaro, Mazatlan. That is who would not make the playoffs right now. There's a lot of heavy hitters in there. But as we talked about, the patience level of owners inside Liga MX is something that is almost Watford-esque. Literally, it's like, 3 months, you're done. Or in Italy, you bring the same manager back after firing him 3 months ago. That kind of patience. You see that in Liga MX on the whole, but you see it in certain other places around the board. But, yeah, so right now, Cruz Azul 4th in the table, and you have Atlas right now in 15th. Pumas is 5th. They're behind Cruz Azul in goals scored. And in the Necaxa, 3 wins and 3 losses. They've only given up 1 goal. Man, that's strong. They've only given up 1 goal in 9 in their first 6 matches. But right now, because they've won 3 and lost 3, they're in 9th. But right now, obviously, the story to pay attention to, August 6th, Mercedes-Benz, Leagues Cup 2025, last match of the group stage, Atlanta and Atlas. So intriguing as well. Sharif, for Leagues Cup, do we know yet if the final is likely to be at a neutral venue or the highest remaining seed? Same question for knockouts. If we continue through, we likely to have home games. I think... Let me check the Leagues Cup rules, Sharif, before I come up with an uninformed opinion. Let's see. Leagues Cup. Schedule is here 23 hours ago. Good for Leagues Cup. Okay. About schedule. All right, so schedule. Let me see if they've played the schedule out or if they have any kind of explainer about the whole thing. Going all the way to August the 7th in the opening round. They don't go anywhere past the opening round rundown. So, news. Schedule releases here. Good for you. Okay. And I feel like I should have some kind of dialing music in this kind of a thing. Let's see. Schedule is out. Thanks to our friend John Arnold for the writing. And he talks about the big matchups, goes in through each of the divisions, and just goes through. It looks like, well, let me see the overarching statement that was made when Leagues Cup was announced at the end of January. Participating clubs format. Okay, so 2 rounds, phase 1 and knockouts, all phase 1 matches. Continue play through the month of August. Most Leagues Cup knockout matches played midweek. And then they ended up with the club rankings with regional tiers, Leagues Cup organizing committee. And you go through tiers 1, point system, la. Top 4 clubs in each Leagues Cup league-specific table advance to the quarters. Tables designed to ensure more interleague matchups into the knockout round. 4 clubs from MLS and Liga MX placed in a fixed bracket to compete in a single-game elimination knockouts. Quarterfinal pairings based on Leagues Cup Phase 1 performance with an inverse order of ranking 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The bracket is there. So it looks like, looking at the bracket, based on Leagues Cup, no draws. Technology is there as well. Let's see. New format based on ranking, created following a collaborative effort from the organizing committee. Considerations included rewarding regular season results in geographical regions while addressing learnings from past editions of the tournament, featuring more matchups. And the PSA about Leagues Cup in and of itself. So it looks like it's going to be home venues for everything going in, but there is no notification about the Leagues Cup 2025 championship. So wherever Liga MX 1 would be and Liga MX 2, they would have the home games, and my guess is that they would be here in the United States. And then same for MLS 1 and 2, they would have home games, and you continue to go forward. Like I said, I'm looking at the announcement in and of itself, and if I have missed anything, which would not be the first time, please tell me, because then I could sit there and go, and then I can look at it and go, here we go, here's the deal. And that's that is your rundown of where things stand when it comes to Leagues Cup. Morning 4 card. Let's see. Yes, morning 4 card. The Evander replacement, according to Ricky. Yeah, interesting because he doesn't seem like a traditional 10. And I think that with Portland specifically, you bring in the player from Lens, Long, and you blend them in. I think that this is more what we're going to be seeing is the collective working in Portland, whereas in Dallas it might be seeing what Dallas is going to look like with Lucho. It might be Lucho and people creating around him. So I think Portland might be more Borg-like this year within the structure with what Neville wants, with the players like Jonathan Rodriguez and Mora and Moreno and Anthony to be added to what's going on. So I think that Portland might be thinking more in a collective sense. I think Cincinnati, that's the one that's interesting to me because will Evander color within the lines or will Evander want to color outside the lines? Or when will Pat Noonan allow him to do that when he wants to present his artwork to class? And then Lucho, I think, might be the centerpiece in Dallas. So let's take a peek at Dallas's roster really quickly. And we can see Eastern Western, go down. And so we'll look at the Dallas roster and see what it looks like in and of itself. And so scoring capabilities and availabilities. Anderson Julio, Peter Musa, Ines Salih is a U22. Let's see. Endele is a supplemental. Siki Nachabeling is a forward. Then you also can add at points when healthy Fonseca. Tariq Scott is a homegrown. Your internationals are Patrick Delgado, Peter Musa, Ines Salih, and Giovanni as a defender. And Salih and Giovanni are U22s, and you bring in Lucho Acosta. Acosta to me seems like a centerpiece. So Acosta to me seems like a centerpiece of the attack to go with Musa in Dallas. So I think that's going to be that is going to be the dynamic for me, is seeing how Lucho integrates with everybody who's there. Does Evander color inside the lines with what Pat Noonan wants in Cincinnati? And then these players that Portland is bringing in, are they going to just be a collective, a unit on the whole, and then they proceed forward in the West? So, like I said, I think that you have three different approaches here in these new locations once they all become finalized. Hutch says Portland, made $6 million on the number 10 swap. That's never bad business. Morning Modiflow, welcome back. Yes, 10 days. 10 days. And we were talking about hot seats, and everybody was talking about Mascherano and Vanni Sartini, and so now I will be, like I said, I will be intrigued with Messi and friends to see what happens. Morning, David. So we'll see what's going on in and around the planet. So we have not seen Flags Out Friday news yet, David. And if the Hoff ever wanted to crash the show and let us know about these kinds of things, he could. But have not seen any Flags Out Friday news yet. And so Ricky says 12 is what he's been reported. So Hutch letting us know about May 17 being rivalries anyway. You've got Montreal, Toronto, NYC. You've got Hudson River. You've got the Copa Canadiense, Cincinnati, Colorado, Charlotte, Chicago, the Bruce Arena Classic, and Philadelphia and Atlanta. So Leagues Cup Final is not listed at Allegiant. Gold Cup Final is in Vegas. And Emilio's like, yeah, I like it that Leagues Cup doesn't require the regular season to stop, because it had in the past. And you had that gap where you were looking for, it's like if your team is out of Leagues Cup, then what do you do? If you were juggling MLS and you were juggling Leagues Cup, there was that gap time. That no longer exists. It is more like what we see overseas with FA Cup, Gummy Bear Cup, DFB Pokal, those kinds of things, where you might take a weekend here or there, but most of it's in the midweek. Champions League, those kinds of things. So Champions League, Europa League, all in the midweek. And so you're seeing that with Leagues Cup now. The league doesn't stop. They might rearrange your schedule if you're still going. Might play you a little later in some points, but Leagues Cup now integrated fully into the MLS schedule. So Cincy Columbus, sorry, thank you. So hell is real. Thanks, Hutch. So that's what you're staring at with all of these rivalries. But yeah, Leagues Cup now integrated with the schedules of Liga MX and Major League Soccer. So you've got all of that to look into and to look forward to. All right. Yesterday, there was some action. I don't know if you knew this, but there was some activity that went on in the world of soccer. And yesterday, if you were a fan of activity of the U.S. men's national team, you got a moment like this, courtesy of our friends at Paramount Plus and UEFA, a thunderbolt from just outside the 18.
And it's almost a chance. And Ronald Colomwani almost turned it in. What a lovely strike from Weston McKennie. A pile driver of a finish. High into the Dutch net. Well, PSV Eindhoven struggled to clear their lines. Gatti, of all people, helped to cause problems. Good save from Benitez to deny Colomwani. And how about this? It's unstoppable from the American. It's a cracker of a goal from Weston McKennie that puts Juventus ahead.
So it was chaos yesterday. I mean, turn it down in my ear so I don't blow myself out. So a thunderbolt from Weston McKinney is a part of what happened yesterday in Champions League. And the other thing that happened yesterday in Champions League, whoo, the Jekyll and Hyde team showed back up. Manchester City had a lead. Then they didn't. Then they had a lead. Then they really didn't. Up 1-0, tied at 1. Up 2-1, lose 3-2. So Manchester City, down 1 in the aggregate, has to get it done on the road. Real Madrid, by the way, was a plus 250 to do something at the City of Manchester Stadium. You know, in these big competitions like you'll see when the world comes to the States. Here at OSGHQ and SDHHQ, the stadium downtown where we go and watch professional soccer league play is going to be, I think it's just going to be City of Atlanta Stadium. Something exceedingly generic because the sponsor that is on the building ain't got no ties. They didn't pay the money, so I wonder, I really do. I wonder what the shots from the air are going to look like. Do you have to take down all of the artwork? Do you get the shot? Do you get the chopper shot? Do you have to take it from a section that is not looking at logos that have been pounded into the sides of buildings and pulling down all of the wrapping and bunting that is attached to a particular sponsor? You have to sit there and, you know, maybe they show like a pre-construction thing of Mercedes-Benz. It's like, okay, the Venus flytrap is open and you see like construction going on in and around. I can't wait to see how this is presented. But yesterday, City of Manchester Stadium, Manchester City had a 2-1 lead, lost it. Down through 3-2. They've got to try and get the win back in the reverse side. Manchester City was a minus 102. But you had key mistakes late. 3-2 win for Real Madrid. Juve, you heard the Weston McKinney goal in the 2-1 win over PSV. Juve a minus 114. They're at home. Dortmund, and this was interesting, Dortmund went to Sporting. We'll talk to Nino about this tomorrow. Dortmund put a thumping on Sporting 3-0. And so Sporting's got a lot of work to do on the road in Germany. They were favored at a plus 156. Dortmund a plus 185 to win on the road. PSG, obviously, no problems with Brest at a minus 333, winning 3-0. So that sets up today and activity today. You got the one at 12:45, Club Brugge and Atalanta. Atalanta, a road favorite at a plus 136. Club Brugge is a plus 222. Then the 3 matches today that are at 3 o'clock. You have Celtic at a plus 654 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, taking on Bayern Munich at a minus 270. So I'm thinking that Bayern takes care of business. That's just me. Then Feyenoord, a big underdog at home to AC Milan at a minus 108. Feyenoord is basically a plus 280. And Monaco at home favored against Benfica at a plus 137. Benfica is a plus 191. So we'll have plenty to talk about with Nino and Portugal and South America and England and all points in between tomorrow when he shows up for Fully Loaded at 10 o'clock. Next round of the reverses is the 19th and 20th. And so Manchester City, a week from today, will know their fate in the final 16. Do they make up that goal? Do they go to extras and figure it out and see how it goes from there? Or do they get bumped outright? So we'll see what happens with those matchups. So 19 and 20 after 11 and 12. So we'll see what happens in the reverse sides today in the Champions League. So that was one of the big events that happened yesterday. Also, CONCACAF went down yesterday to start things up. And I'm trying to find there we go. In the Triple C, the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza, you had events yesterday in legs 1, as they say. Cruz Azul put 5 on Real Hope. By the way, at kick, Cruz Azul was a minus 33-33. A minus 33-33. So that was one where you just kind of sat there and went, yeah, okay, I'll watch this one. And sure enough, Cruz Azul took care of business. Real hope, by the way, on the road. If you wanted to, if you just had for issues and giggles, if you had a juice box that you wanted to put on Real Hope yesterday, the composite had it at plus 32.47, basically a plus 32.50, going to Cruz Azul to get a result in 90 minutes. And Monterrey took care of Forge 3-0 in Monterrey at a minus 14.29. And so Forge went in at a plus 23.63 in the composite. So long night for the road teams yesterday in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So today, 2 matches, one at 8, one at 10. And once again, you've got a couple of rather large favorites in Liga MX who have the home side in this go-around. Chivas is a minus 16.67 hosting Cibao, north of plus 22.50. And Tigres is going up against Real Estelí. Real Estelí on the road at plus 16.88. And Tigres is a minus 8.33. Now, this is the match. It's not the full fixture with reverse attached to it. So, Real Estelí, they get the win, or they were that close to getting the win, and Tigres did not have Gignac, and so you're going to take on Tigres. Gignac should be healthy and ready to play, as his minutes are constantly being navigated, and it might get ugly again for the road teams. Cibao going to Chivas and Estelí going to Tigres. Tomorrow, by the way, it all wraps up with Pumas hosting Cavalry. Pumas, once again, a big favorite at a minus 625. Cavalry a plus 1189 going forward. So that's your CONCACAF. And once again, we'll let everybody know where it is. And we'll let you know what the rumors are and everything. David, let's get some momentum to get a stadium name based on our prior city names. The Palace at Marthasville. Terminus Tower. And Ricky's like, yeah, Georgia Dome. Actually, that might actually play. The Georgia Dome. Well, we're here at Mercedes-Benz. We're here at the City of Atlanta Stadium. But, yeah, I think in the presentation, if I remember correctly, when they were announcing the venues for 2026, they actually had come up with the names of the venues. So hang on just a second. Let me check. FIFA 2026 World Cup. All right, so let's see if the venues have been given their names attached to sponsors and things like this. So, okay, so host countries and cities. Okay, so host countries and cities, we're clicking on it. So Atlanta, you click on it, you get a shiny introduction. And visit Atlanta, and they lay it all out for you, and with hashtags and everything, with did you knows and all that kind of stuff. So tickets, hospitality, fan festival, match schedule. Let's see if the match schedule has the locations. I don't want the fixture list explained. I just want the venue names. Okay, so here we go. Yes, and they are city names, by the way, except for the Azteca. Because I guess the Azteca being historical as it is the Estadio Azteca, the Estadio Guadalajara, Toronto Stadium, Los Angeles Stadium, Boston Stadium, BC Place. I guess that's acceptable because it's not sponsor tied. New York, New Jersey Stadium. So the Meadowlands is going to be New York, New Jersey Stadium. San Francisco Bay Area Stadium. Philadelphia Stadium, Houston Stadium, Dallas Stadium, Estadio Monterrey, Miami Stadium, Atlanta Stadium, Los Angeles Stadium, Seattle Stadium, so on and so forth. So there are a couple of places that have, the names that are outside of city name and stadium. There are a few. BC Place, the Estadio Azteca for historical consequence and things like that. But right now, everybody is city name, stadium. Wow, how exciting that is. And how much of a challenge it's going to be for the production crews and the international broadcast feed to shoot stadia Latin neutral plural, to shoot the stadia without colors and bunting and things like that. I want to know how they're shot from on high. I want to know what the bunting looks like inside. I want to know what the plans are for some of these places, because from seeing Major League Soccer and competitions that bunting is all that sponsor bunting, and it is all over the place. You throwing curtains over everything? You just throwing paint jobs over it all, where you can kind of look through the paint and you can see what the sponsor name is? How do you pull this off? I am intrigued. I want to see how this is done by all of the construction folks and how it is framed by the international broadcast folks. I am intrigued. So, like I said, I thought that was interesting, to say the very least. So we'll see what it looks like. Now, yesterday came out that the U.S. has named their squad for She Believes. Some interesting names and some interesting tacks. And Emma Hayes had said that this is one of those opportunities for players that haven't had the chance to get reps. So I thought it was interesting to see what the choices were going to be in this particular case. And like I said, keep an eye out on the Soccer for US POD, where they'll probably go into this more in depth, as in addition to their top 50 players on the men's side. So She Believes, once again, giving a lot of younger players a chance. You do have 11 players who weren't a part of the team that won the gold medal, 10 playing in their first She Believes. Kat Macario back. That's big. Coming after a long injury layoff, but had to withdraw because of knee irritation. 4 uncapped players. Claire Hutton, Giselle Thompson, both 19. Tara McEwen, Michelle Cooper. They all have international experience playing at the U20s. Hutton, Thompson, Cooper all attended January's Futures Camp. McEwen was at the concurrent senior camp. No Trinity Rodman, injured. No Mal Swanson, personal commitments. No Sophia Wilson, formerly Sophia Smith. No Sophia Wilson, who, according to U.S. Soccer, quote, is not physically ready for national team competition. No Rose Lavelle, who had ankle surgery last month. And no Naomi Girma, who's recovering from a calf injury. So your roster goes like this. Jane Campbell and Mandy McGlynn, only 2 keepers. I thought that was interesting, too. 8 defenders. Davidson, Dunn, Fox, McEwen, Niswanger, Sams, Sonnet, Giselle Thompson. 6 in the midfield, Corbin Albert, Sam Coffey, Lindsay Heaps, as she is now known. Claire Hutton, Jaden Shaw, Lily Johannes. And I know that Bart will be happy to see Lily Johannes on that roster, hoping that she just gets reps and continues to grow internationally. Forward 7, Lynn Biendolo, Michelle Cooper, Kat Macario, Yasmin Ryan, Emma Sears, Allie Sentner, and Alyssa Thompson. So that's what you're looking at with that particular grouping for She Believes. And so what you said, Lynn Biendolo, it's Lynn Williams. Lynn Williams has now is Lynn Biendolo, and has had everything changed on national team websites and such. But so that's what it looks like for the U.S. in the She Believes breakdown. Let's see. Where are we? We talked about UCL. A couple of other things before we get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Just so you know, I know we do spend a lot of time in lower divisions to let everybody know what's going on, because it's not just tier 1 stuff. The folks at USL League 2, and we spent some time there because we have some friends of the network, and we've seen them grow as franchises. They are now going to be spending their time in USL League 2. The divisions came out, and in the Southern Conference, you have a very now crowded South Central Division. Asheville City, with our friend Scott Wells, they're going to be in the South Central with East Atlanta. Tennessee SC, who's done tremendous work to get to the last game of the year. Southern Soccer Academy, our friend Jack Collison is over there. Dothan United coming back for a second year. Athens United coming back. Legion playing in USL League 2. In Birmingham, Montgomery United, Apotheos, and Columbus United. Hoping that if they're going to play 18 games, they play 18 games home and away. but that is a stacked South Central division in the Southern Conference in USL League 2. So looking forward to seeing USL League 2 when their schedule comes online, covering our friends in Asheville and Tennessee and SSA and Dothan and all points in between in the South Central division in the Southern Conference. So keeping an eye on that in USL League 2 as well. So very, very cool stuff there with all of the storylines that we've had the chance to see and now coming finally to fruition in times like this. So, all right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And we will come back tomorrow once again, stacked upon stacked. Kevin Egan joining us at 9:15 as Kevin does the rounds for everybody that wants to hang out with him. So we will make sure that we ask Kevin about anything and everything. Anything and everything. The Revs have revealed the Eastern White Pine Kit inspired by the flag of New England First Revolution, a jersey to feature forest green. If you haven't seen the new Portland Hearts of Pine jersey, we're all going to go poor. So teams are kind of trickling out their kits as they go here. The Stone kit was revealed by Red Bulls this morning. And like I said, you got kits coming out all over the place. So still waiting to see what Atlanta United's kit officially looks like here in 2025. All right. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it before we get out of here. And the gossip for today. Once again, remember that you got your 4 Champions League matches. You got CONCACAF tonight. You've got Creek Cup on our Mixler site at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. You can listen on there tonight. And then SDH 1 and SDH 2 over at Mixler. Download the Mixler app, by the way, if you haven't already, and set your notifications and follow your favorites. SDH 1 and 2 will be very, very busy Friday and Saturday as we go. Gossip here from overseas. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool interested in Bournemouth's 19-year-old Spain defender Dean Hewson, who has a £55 million release clause. Liverpool interested in signing France-born England U21 winger Mohamed Ali Cho, who is right now at Nice. Chelsea preparing a €70 million summer bid for Atletico Madrid's 21-year-old defender Pablo Barrios. Barcelona is interested in signing people. According to Sport in Spain, Barcelona interested in Victor Gyökeres, but they're also monitoring Alexander Isak. And Victor Gyökeres. I'd love to know how Barcelona would pay for that. Bayern Munich relaxed, according to Football Insider, about the prospect of Harry Kane returning to the Premier League. Al Nassr, courtesy of our friends at GMS, Gimme Sport has said that they're came very close to reaching an agreement for Darwin Nunez from Liverpool in January before Liverpool rejected a deal. They would prefer to sell Nunez over Diogo Jota this summer. Also, Villa and Arsenal have expressed an interest in signing Olympiacos' 17-year-old forward Charalampos Kostoulis and 18-year-old midfielder Christos Moutsakidis. That's from the Birmingham World. Real Madrid have joined Arsenal in the race to sign Real Sociedad's midfielder Martin Zubamendi. Crystal Palace, Rangers, Norwich interested in Birmingham's 18-year-old English winger Zaid Biteka. Really good story at The Athletic about Birmingham City if you have a subscription there. Then you can get them usually fairly inexpensively. They'll give you the subscription for like $13 or $14. Then when they tell you that they're automatically going to charge your card the following year and you bail out, they come back at you. Well, how about this? And it's a lot less traditionally. So word of the wise when it comes to your subscription to The Athletic, keep an eye on your deadlines and your credit cards. Arsenal's Kai Havertz suffered a worrying injury scare on the club's training trip to Dubai. That they're monitoring it and they're trying to figure out if he's going to be out for the rest of the year. So keep an eye on Arsenal and Kai Havertz. Pep Guardiola still wants to sign Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen. Sir Jim Ratcliffe planning to cut more jobs to help free up cash for new signings. Reports were that it was going to be another 100 that were going to be let go at Manchester United. Villa and PSG did not include a buy option into the loan deal for Marco Asensio. Both clubs open to a potential permanent move. Eric Ten Hag could be in line for a managerial return with Feyenoord. Roma want to do a permanent deal with AC Milan for Belgian midfielder Alexis Salamakers, but a swap deal involving Tammy Abraham not on the table. That's from Calcio Mercato. Manchester United players believe a change in the style of play to the one that is employed by Ruben Amorim may be the best way forward. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Champions League games, including the final, could be held in the United States from the year 2033 onwards if UEFA look to enter a new global commercial rights deal. This comes from Miguel Delaney. American agency has, and this is dealing with Relevant. Relevant's been at the forefront of trying to bring major games to the U.S. If they complete the deal, it would mark the end of UEFA's 3-decade-plus association with team marketing, originally responsible for all the prominent Champions League branding, star ball theme, etc. More seriously, according to Delaney, it could put up to 170 jobs from the company at risk, understood to have been a state of shock at team as well as some anger about the process. Statement to be released on Tuesday read, the board of UC3 has agreed to enter into an exclusive period of negotiation with Relevant over the global commercial rights to men's UEFA club competitions for the period 27 to 33. Controlled by billionaire Stephen Ross, who's wanted to have meaningful European club matches in the U.S., ICC is widely seen to have been the setup for doing this, possibly with UEFA and having UEFA events in the United States. And FIFA only said last April it would consider changes to its policy that blocks league matches from being played in other countries after an agreement with Relevant to dismiss the promoter's lawsuit challenging that very regulation. Jeffrey Kessler, the Relevant's lawyer, filed a letter in Manhattan stating FIFA and his client agreed to the dismissal of the suit. Remember, they were the ones that wanted to bring Barcelona and Girona to play in Miami. Now, Relevant are this close to striking a deal with UEFA, so you could have Champions League games in the U.S. in 33 by 33. So that's from Miguel Delaney this morning. Keep an eye on possibly the Champions League being a part of things in the United States like 8 years from now. Also on the board this morning, a couple of things. It looks like, and this is early reporting, that if the group that is engaged in possibly picking up Spurs ownership might be keeping Daniel Levy. Telegraph and others have various elements of the story involving Spurs. There is a protest now planned for the Man United match, organized a pregame march followed by a sit-in after Sunday's fixture to voice their disapproval of Daniel Levy. This comes from Matt Law at the Telegraph. So that they've been chanting Daniel Levy's name in recent weeks, protests inside and outside, and now the fans are being urged by a protest group to gather in the South Stand after the United game for a staged protest. Big stadium, our club, our voice. Change for Tottenham. There's a poster that is with instructions. Supporters encouraged to meet on the South Stand ahead of kickoff. Protesters have been encouraged at Change for Spurs, by the way, and the 280-character app has all of this. Protest poster is out there, plus a video. And so right now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe looks like he's going to cut another 100 jobs at Manchester United. There's going to be a protest Sunday. There's going to be a protest of fans after the match with some elements before the match. So keep an eye on all of those activities involving Spurs. And I'm trying to find the article that I saw about the Qatari influence, and I'm trying to figure out where it was before we get into Atlanta United and everything that is going on there. Hang on, okay. So the Guardian is now upgrading it to 200 more staff redundancies. So could be 100, could be 200. You have varying reports. So Matt Hughes, Guardian, here's what he says. Daniel Levy may continue to run Spurs in a potential Qatari takeover plan. Guardians learned that a group of Qatari investors are willing to give Levy a long-term contract to continue running Spurs as executive chair. Retaining Levy, obviously, most fans ain't happy about something like that. Investors are keen to retaining his expertise. They want control of Spurs, but the takeover could take the form of a phased buyout. One model being considered by the investors, Levy would be offered a management contract to run the club, which would remain in place even if ENIC becomes a minority shareholder. Right now, they own about 87% of the club. ENIC bought 30% of the club from Alan Sugar back in 2001. Financial position transformed. One of the richest clubs in Europe, annual income of more than £500 million pounds. Spurs have been open about the fact they're seeking outside investment. Levy saying last year the club needed a significant increase in its equity base. No one has met the £3.75 billion valuation, but now it appears there are Qatari investors whose identity is not clear, private individuals rather than the government-backed QSI, or Sheikh Jassim, who tried to buy Manchester United 2 years ago. So it is private individuals in Qatar kicking the tires on Spurs. And should they kick the tires on Spurs, possibility that Daniel Levy would stay. Paul McInnes over at The Guardian also saying this morning about the Premier League. The Premier League seeks power to access clubs' premises during investigations. The ability to enter buildings would relate to financial rules, and it could be used if clubs have not complied with inquiries. Proposals are included in the latest draft of the squad cost ratio mechanism, which is expected to replace PSR that limits spending. Guardian understands the league has asked for the ability to enter buildings in the event that a club is found not to have complied with the inquiry it has initiated. Commonly only used by law enforcement agencies to seize documents related to an investigation. So you have that involving what's going on with the Premier League and their investigations. So Ricky has mentioned in here that it appears so the live stream has been canceled for today's match with Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati. So it's at another field. So keep an eye on their 280-character app and Instagram accounts for limited match coverage. So it was moved from the main stadium setup at IMG to another place, and I guess it wasn't camera ready. So public service announcement, location moved for Atlanta and FC Cincinnati, and so the live stream is not happening. So that's where we are with Atlanta United. We are going to try and keep an eye on all of that stuff today. Absolute drag. No doubt, Derek. It is a drag. Okay. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and you guys can get out of here. And we'll all get out of here because we've got stuff to do. Remember, U17s are going at it tonight as well, playing St. Kitts and Nevis. And we'll see what the lines look like tonight for the U17s. But remember, Creek Cup, SDH Network 6 and 8, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. It's me. We'll be there for that. Copa Libertadores on BN at 7:30. Alianza Lima, Nacional Asunción. If you did not hear Harold Henderson's preview, you can go back on the network and take a listen to it. So all the BNs, Nuestra Tele, CDO, For the Fans, Liga 1 Max, Liga 1 Max Pro, TIC, all of those. You can get that at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And you get all of the sicko stuff that you could ever want. All the BNs, BN en Espanol, simulcasting everything. So there's all of that. So BN has Copa Libertadores at 7:30. FS2 has the Grenada Dominican Republic U17 match at 4. CONCACAF Champions Cup 8 and 10. BN Sports BN Sports en Espanol simulcasting Libertadores. 2 has Champions League Club Brugge and Atalanta, Feyenoord and Milan, and the Triple C at 8 and 10. Unimas simulcasting 2 Brugge and Atalanta, Feyenoord and Milan. USA has Everton and Liverpool, 2:30. It's a makeup game. So that's happening at 2:30 this afternoon. That's also on Universo and NBCSports.com. Fox Soccer Plus has the other U17 matches, Virgin Islands, Cuba, U.S. St. Kitts and Nevis at 5 and 8. So it's Fox Soccer Plus or probably CONCACAF, and you can go through their website and probably watch it that way. Paramount Plus, English Championship, match at 2:45, Burnley and Hull, Sheffield United, Middlesbrough. You can see the Latte Loft Middlesbrough Club at 3 go up against Sheffield United, West Brom and Blackburn at 3 as well, and the 4 Champions League matches. VIX has your 4 Champions League matches and the 2 CONCACAF Champions Cup matches. So that's where we are. So keep an eye on the 280-character app and keep an eye on what is going on with the Instagram, the IG, or the gram, as the kids call it these days, where it comes to Atlanta United and how they are going against FC Cincinnati in the last match of their preseason. So we're really looking forward to seeing how things go there and seeing what it looks like with them as they get this much closer. They get this much closer to coming home and being against FC Dallas at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground coming up this weekend, and seeing what it looks like as we get closer and closer and closer to the season when it comes to Atlanta United. So we'll get into all of that tomorrow with the limited information that we'll have. Kevin Egan, Nino Torres, Nico Moreno, full Thursday. Everything comes fully loaded. So as always, thanks for dropping by as you always do. And we'll be back at it again in less than 22 hours. Stay safe, stay dry, stay warm. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Mucho Platiel, play it safe.